Because if you're worried about how your content will perform, if you're thinking about the results while you're trying to create, if you're trying to make something work while you're in the process, you're actually blocking your flow. Because flow only exists when you let go of the outcome. Welcome back. Today we're going to unpack one of the deepest truths about the nature of creativity, and that is that outcome attachment is the enemy of flow. Flow is a present moment state. Outcome attachment pulls your mind into the future. And you can't be in the future and in creative flow at the same time. Why? Because flow lives in the present, outcome lives in the future. Flow requires presence and openness and immersion. It requires that you focus. It requires emotional softness. It requires energetic alignment. But outcome attachment shifts your mind. It shifts your mind into things like worry and performance anxiety, approval, prediction, comparison. You start thinking about things like numbers and expectations. You move out of the moment and into some imagined future. And then your flow, your creative flow, collapses instantly. There was a time when I didn't even realize how much I was creating for the outcome. I'd sit down to record, and before I even started, I was already thinking about how it would perform. What would the metrics look like? How many views would I get? Whether people would connect with it, whether it was good enough. And what I noticed was I wasn't actually present in the process. I was trying to control the result before the work even existed. Think about that. How much sense does that really make? You want to control the result before the work even exists. And that's because we're attached to the outcome. Outcome attachment creates pressure, and pressure blocks flow. When you're attached to the outcome, you start thinking, is this good enough? Will people like this? Will this perform well again, the metrics? Will this go viral? Or will I disappoint my audience? What if this flops? And this creates this tension and anxiety, self-consciousness, perfectionism. You say that perfectionism is the enemy of progress. You start overthinking, and then flow can't exist inside that type of pressure. I remember recording a video where I kept stopping and restarting the video, not because I didn't know what to say, but because I was trying to make it perfect. Every sentence felt like it had to land. Every idea had to be sharp. Every moment had to work. And the more I tried to control the outcome, the more disconnected I felt from what I was actually trying to express. It stopped feeling like creation, and it started feeling like performance. And it made me realize that flow is expression-based, not performance-based. Flow emerges when you create because you're inspired, or because you're curious, or you're aligned. When you're expressing truth, or you're following your intuition. But flow dies when you create because you want approval, or you want some sort of validation. You want these numbers, the metrics. You want an X number of views, and you want so many likes per video. You want control. And you want safety. You want to avoid judgment, which is fair. But flow requires an internal motivation. Outcome attachment is externally motivated. when you're attached to those outside things, and they can't coexist. When you're focused on outcomes, you abandon your identity and you step into performance. You start trying to predict what others want. You start adjusting yourself to please people. You start trying to deliver what the algorithm prefers, as if there's some way you can really know that. You start to try to match external expectations and optimize things instead of just expressing. And this disconnects you from your voice, disconnects you from your intuition, your authenticity, your energy, your truth. Flow requires identity alignment. Outcome attachment destroys identity alignment. We got to really understand that letting go doesn't mean that we don't care. Creators often think that if I let go of the outcome, then I won't try. But letting go doesn't mean that there's apathy. It doesn't mean that you're passive or you have these low standards or your standards are dropping or you lack intention or you're not ambitious enough. Letting go means that you create from alignment and not from pressure. You care, but you don't cling. You aim, but you don't attach. You express, but you don't collapse under expectation. The shift for me came when I made a simple internal decision. When I said to myself, I'm going to create this, and I don't need it to do anything for me. I don't need it to perform. I don't need it to impress. I'm not trying to prove anything. There's just something that I had to express. And the moment that I did that, everything kind of softened. My thoughts became more clear. My delivery became more natural. And the process started to feel light again. And that's when I realized that flow wasn't being blocked by my ability. It was being blocked by my attachment. So let's talk about how to release attachment and enter flow. I call this the freedom method. Here's the process that will break outcome attachment instantly. Step 1, bring your awareness to the attachment. Ask yourself, what outcome am I secretly trying to control? Naming it breaks the power. Now, step 2, shift your attention to the present moment, right now. Feel your body. Feel your breath. Feel the space that you're in. Presence dissolves outcome pressure. Step 3, reconnect with intention. Ask, why am I creating this? Why? What is your why? Why are you creating this? Not what do I want it to do, but why am I creating it? Intention fuels flow. Now, step 4, let go of performance and return to expression. Say to yourself, I don't need this to do anything for me. I don't need this to do anything for me. This is creative liberation because it allows you to create for the sake of expression rather than for the sake of some type of reward. And step 5, follow the intuitive impulse. Act from the part of you that wants to express. Not the part of you that wants to impress, but the part of you that wants to express. And step 6, trust the creative process. Flow rewards trust. When you surrender to the outcome, when you surrender the outcome, the process unfolds naturally. So I'll leave you with this. Flow can't coexist with outcome attachment because flow is presence and outcome attachment is future. When you release the pressure to control how your creation will be received, you free yourself. You free yourself to create from alignment, authenticity, and truth. Next in this micro series, we'll talk about why flow depends on trusting your intuition.